In 2006, a dynamic dance duo formed to take on the world. This Anglo-Australian partnership promptly traveled the globe, learning from the masters of dance. If no one else has the answers, and if you can find them, maybe you should get in touch with Dizzyfeet.
If you've got the questions,
we've got the answers. Good evening, everybody, and welcome to another Friday night Q&A with me, James, and this one.
You couldn't sound any more excited.
I know. I'm a little.
You're very subdued.
I'm a little subdued this evening. Yeah. I do apologise. Yes. Shall I start again?
Yeah, I think you should.
Shall I start again?
Yeah.
Hello, everybody. Welcome to another Friday night Q&A with Kelly and myself. This is myself, and that's Kelly.
Good evening.
Good evening. What are we going to talk about, Kelly?
I don't know. Posture.
Posture.
Yeah. Well, in the lecture anyway, but we don't have to talk about that now.
No.
Because you're going to talk a lot
I'm going to talk a lot about that. Yeah, I'm going to waffle on
You're
quite a
gonna
lot about that. So the idea is us to have a little chat about other things in the meantime.
Yeah.
Yeah.
How's everyone been?
I don't know.
This is the longest January ever.
It is. Yeah, it is quite. Yeah.
It certainly feels like it.
It does. Yeah, it does. Yeah. There we go. Anyway, so thanks for coming.
Yeah. There's really not much to talk about, is there?
Well, we like to be inspired by the people. We like people to ask us the questions,
cold and
don't we?
dark outside.
Well, yes, it's gloomy outside, and it unfortunately makes you
great
kind of
weather,
gloomy on
hasn't
the
it?
inside, doesn't it? Really, it's difficult to get motivated, isn't it? To do
I found it
anything.
really hard this week.
I didn't feel too bad on Wednesday. I
What did you do on Wednesday?
I smashed my head against the light fitting before I started and shouted expletives.
Yes, I remember that. Yeah.
Yeah.
I did say we could make it higher if you wanted.
Yeah, that'd be careless though, wouldn't it? Because it's only temporary.
Well,
Show you my happy face.
it's the same. Oh, no, it's back in focus.
Yeah.
Look at that.
Yeah, back in focus.
We've changed the lighting tonight.
Yes, to give me a slightly more soft focus on my face.
We look so pale,
Yeah.
don't we?
Well, we haven't been outside, have we? And when we go outside, it's overcast and dreary and wet. So
Yeah.
anyway, it's Heather Parsons. Hello, Heather.
She's trying to cast it to your TV.
Yes, you can do that via YouTube. That's quite easy. If you go to the YouTube app on your phone, it's easier to cast that way than it is via Facebook, I think.
My phone has trouble doing it.
Doesn't like our telly, does it?
No.
No, my phone's fine with it.
It used to.
I know, it's
The
very
old
strange.
phone did.
That isn't really a dance-based question, though, is it?
There's
Really?
not much to talk about, is there?
Well, Sigrid
No,
said she's missing her dancing.
Oh, I think lots of people are, aren't they?
Damn, sure. Yes. Yes. Blenworth Beauty says hello. Fine pair of shoulders. Good evening.
Good evening.
Hungry
good
Hawk
evening,
says good
Hungry
evening.
Hawks.
Well, we're looking for your questions.
Yeah,
This is a
team
Q&A
vibes and-
section, so I need you to ask us questions. Before I put the video on, I'd like a little bit
Yeah,
of
if there's anything you
discussion.
want to ask beforehand.
Yes. The video is 34 minutes.
It's a long one.
Yeah. Well, the first one was 34 minutes as well. I ended up waffling a little bit more. It's difficult to time
It's
it
not like
to
you.
perfection. Well, I start off thinking I don't know what I'm going to say.
I know, because you tell me. And then
Yeah, and then I just end up waffling for ages.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We never really have to worry about what to talk about with dancing, do we?
No.
Because you just need a little bit of a thing and then you just...
I need a little bit of stimulus. A little bit of a stimulus and I'm off.
Stimulus.
Yeah. A little bit of titillation and then I'm off. I'm doing it. Yeah. That's all right, James. Well, that's fine. I don't mind if you want to share those photographs of me in a bear outfit. That's absolutely fine. I don't know if you've still got the
In
ones
a
of me.
bear outfit?
I don't know if you've still got the ones of me in a lady's dress, but hey, if you've got them, share them. I don't mind. Good evening, Ray.
Apparently James used to wear some Quite
Interesting.
funky practice wear most of the
Yeah,
time.
I did. I
Colourful.
didn't practice though in a lady's dress.
Who did that?
No one did. Well,
Oh.
ladies did, I'm sure.
No, you kind of said that as if to say someone that you knew.
No,
had
we
done
went.
that.
We had a few. We used to have these house parties, and we had one at. I think it was Gareth Taplin's old house. Yeah. Anyway, it doesn't matter.
There's a couple of questions here. The Blackpool trip being off this year.
Yes.
I think it is safe to assume that won't be happening.
Yeah, with regards to Blackpool, those of you that have paid your deposits, if you paid by cheque, we haven't cashed any of them. It's unlikely, I think, that anything's going to be happening in April.
Yeah, with the
Very
way this
unlikely.
year is going so far, it doesn't sound like it, does it?
Yeah,
It doesn't
no,
sound like it.
doesn't sound like
I
it.
think it would be very optimistic. to think
Yeah,
that
I'm
it
sure
would.
the hotel will be keen for something to happen, but I just can't see it. I really can't see it at all.
Good
yeah.
evening, Baps and Co.
Where
And Heather says, remind me of the exercise that you said girls should do every day to improve hold.
well, that's your job.
That's that one.
Epaulement effacé.
The slightly balletic one. You know, when we do our lockdown workouts, we always do it in that. It's the first exercise, the waltz one that we do. If you do that every day, that will improve your posture and hold for sure.
So that's I'll include a link into the description on this if you want that, Heather, or I can send it to you. Send you the link for the YouTube video of Kelly doing it. 'Cause it's better to get a woman doing it than a bloke. Well, unless you want to see me in a little tank top, sweaty tank top, fine.
She's seen it all before.
She has seen
Yeah,
it before.
yeah.
She's seen it before. Yeah. Team Brighton, Sarah. The British Championships has been rescheduled for August. Our dance holiday was rescheduled from, when was it? Last September, wasn't it?
October, wasn't
Was it
it?
October?
We were going to have a dance holiday in Blackpool in October.
It was moved to April, end of April, but I can't see it happening. I just can't see it happening. I can't see us going from where we are now to being able to do a dance break. The other thing is as well that the Tower Ballroom still isn't open, and there's no date for them to open, so we don't know. And really, if we can't go to the tower, it's kind of pointless. It's not pointless.
It's not pointless, but it's
one of the
not quite the same.
the highlight of
that trip
is gone.
Yeah.
I can't see how we're going to get from now to be able to do the British Championships in August either, because that's
Even
an
that's
international
pushing it,
comp,
isn't it?
3,000 people in a venue, so tough.
Yeah, be nice, wouldn't it? But
It would.
we're a little bit, I suppose, on the cautious feeling of any of that sort of thing happening this year.
It does make you not want to book anything or plan anything, because then you're going to have to change your plan. So
Yeah.
but I mean, hey, if it does happen and everything happens in
Well,
March,
then that's better.
great.
Yeah, I hope we're wrong.
We'll never know. But if you have paid your deposits, don't worry. We haven't cashed them as far as I know.
No, we
so
haven't.
anyway, I don't think anyone's paid other than check anyway.
Have you been for a run lately?
Yes, I've been for a couple of runs this week. My legs hurting, a bit sore.
I've started Insanity again this week after having not done anything for a long time, and that has hit pretty hard. I have to say.
Yeah.
I've actually pulled a muscle in my abdominals.
Intercostal sort of thing, isn't it?
Yeah, it really hurts. So there's certain things I can't do because it pulls on it. It feels like somebody's stabbing you. So that's fun.
Yeah. Not really, is it?
I'm being sarcastic,
I know.
obviously.
I know.
And Heather says, do I have to find you irresistible in a sweaty tank
Yeah, of
top?
course. Everyone has to be irresistible to me, don't they? Yeah.
It's like James's prerequisite to watching him.
Right, we've got a few things. I just need to read through this here. So, love the lights. Yeah, it's not a new light. We've had it for ages. I just had it up the loft. I hadn't used it in ages. I just thought I'd get it out. I forgot all about it.
We've been doing some loft clearing.
Yeah,
haven't we?
so I thought we'd put it out. Anyway, it's nice. It's nice. Yeah, I think they're on offer at the moment as well, actually, if you go to the genuine place rather than the imitation places. Thank you for liking the new light, yes. Hungry Hawks, we already asked a question about the man-lady hand-to-hand position in waltz, etc. Yeah, that's a video. That's going to be a video. We're going to talk about that. Yeah, we can't. I can talk about it if you want, but it doesn't really work showing you here. We're going to do a video on that one. That means you've got to be in it. So Kelly's building up
That's why
to
there's
being
a bit
filmed.
of a delay. I need to do some more Insanity then.
Yeah. So we will get to that one. And Lou likes the yellow dress.
Let's gone back to the beginning.
What happened there?
Oh no, I accidentally went backwards on mine. That's fine. Ignore it. Okay.
I have ignored you.
Yes, that's fine.
Yeah. Yellow dress was lovely, apparently Lou says. Yeah, it was nice.
Dress.
We did like that dress. Very nice dress.
With the blue on it as well. Yeah.
Yeah. And what was the other question? Yes, so the Blackpool, the cruise in August. We were planning to do that actually. We were going to be doing it. I was going to be judging the cruise. That there was a cruise, short cruise, wasn't there, in August? Yes. I think it was only going over to Hamburg and back actually. I can't remember. Anyway, I was due to judge that this year, but of course it's been moved to next year, so I'll be judging it next year. But if anyone wants to come on a little short cruise on the QM2, that'll be great. Kelly and I will be on it as well, so I'll let you know more details about that. It's been rescheduled to 2022. Sailing from Southampton, a little dance cruise that Kelly and I will be involved in. If anyone's interested, Holland. Thank you.
Holland.
Thank you, Sarah. Yeah, so if anyone's interested, then let us know. We can get some details about it. It'd be great to have a group of Dizzy Feet dancers.
I'd be looking forward to doing something.
Yeah, nice, won't it?
Really would. I mean, normally we're doing things all the time, and I always say to you, can we please just do nothing?
Yeah, I know.
Even going on a holiday started to feel like a chore to me, didn't it? Honestly, it did. Because there's all the stuff that you've got to do beforehand.
Right.
And then when you come home, there's a mess to sort out. For me, going on a holiday never really felt like relaxing.
Okay.
Because the holiday bit, where you actually relax, lasts like a few days. And everything else
Well, that's only because we typically only went away for a week.
And everything beforehand is manic,
so you
crazy
relax.
Chaos, and everything afterwards is manic, crazy chaos.
Well, yeah, I did say to you last time, we're gonna have to go away for longer.
Yeah.
Because by the time we get relaxed, we have to come home.
I need a holiday from
It's difficult.
lockdown.
We are, yeah.
That sounds really bad, doesn't it?
Anyway.
But yeah, we're supposed to be doing something.
Anyway, so in answer to everyone's questions, our dance holiday in April is not yet cancelled, but possibly going to be cancelled. We will do a video on the hands positions and the hold in ballroom and Latin at some point. That will be done. We will do that. There's a dance cruise incorporating a little competition as well. You haven't got to do the comp, but you can go away on the dance cruise, and there'll be lots of dancers on it. So it'll be a great little thing. Kelly and I will be on it. It's great fun. It'll be nice. Short weekend cruise as well. That's rescheduled for next year. So if you want to go on that, let me know, and I can get you the details, and we can all sort it. You can sort it all out through me rather than the Canadian travel company, so it's a bit easier to deal with me than it is someone in Canada. That was what was the other question? And the light's nice, yeah, the yellow dress is great. But anyone got anything dancing related?
Well, it is all dancing related.
Well, I know, but dance as in physically dancing related.
Sarah liked the cruise. She said it was good.
Yeah, it was good fun.
She did it last. Was it last? It must have been the year before.
It was 2019, wasn't it?
Yeah, so easy.
I know, it's such a long time ago. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. If no
it
one's
was good fun.
If no one's got any dancing related questions, I'll put the video on for people
I
to
think
watch.
they just like to have a chat to us.
I know they like to have a little chat. It is a Q&A, of course. Yeah.
They're all planning the cruise. They're all like, should we
yeah.
share a cabin? And
Yeah. I know.
I think it just shows everyone needs something to look forward to.
Yes.
Don't they? That's the thing.
Yes.
Will a corset help posture? Oh,
You're probably best positioned to...
do you know what I really feel helps posture? Which is like a corset, but nowhere near as bad.
I might cover
as
this in the lecture. You haven't seen it yet.
When I practiced with James a lot, I always preferred wearing a leotard rather than just a top.
I did as well.
Yeah.
I preferred the leotard with
He
the
liked
poppers underneath.
The tights and stuff
Yeah.
as well, yeah. No, I always preferred practicing in a leotard. One, because you know what your dance dresses, your costumes, tend to have a leotard built into them. So it emulated that, but two, it just felt better. So for me, it just gives you that little bit of resistance to stretch up against, which it just kind of, I mean, dance dresses tend to be made a bit tighter anyway. You wouldn't wear normal clothes the way you would wear a dance dress because you'd feel uncomfortable, but where you just feel kind of like really, no, I don't want to say pulled in, that's the wrong word, but you just feel enclosed in your costume. It's not going to move. And so a leotard, I find, gives a similar feel. So that, I think, does help. I always just felt better. I felt like a little bit more like I had some resistance to stretch against. But I wouldn't necessarily go as far as a corset, especially the old-fashioned ones where they really pulled you in. I think actually that might be a little bit detrimental because it might actually make you sort of pull down rather than being able to stretch up so easily. But you know, I suppose that could depend on the corset really, how tight it's pulled in. Yeah, but a leotard I think would do the job. There you go. That's it.
Nice. Well, nicely put, darling. Lou, would love your dance history. Well, we could do that at some point. Now, obviously, you having been living where you live and not been to us personally, you're obviously not quite so familiar with what we've done and etc. etc. So, but it's something we can do definitely. I have got an idea of an interview, haven't I? Did I tell you about that?
I think so.
Yeah, don't spoil it.
I may not have been listening.
No, I've got an idea that I'm going to get round to doing. I've got to write it. I've got to structure it.
James has lots of ideas, and sometimes I tune out.
Thanks very much.
Just a little bit, yeah. I get easily distracted.
Yeah.
The cat's joined us. Hello, Doris.
How can you stop your shoulder going up when moving your hips in the jive? Last Wednesday, mine seems to go up automatically. Practice. Unfortunately, that's a muscular action you've got to work on. The feeling is as the left hip or the right hip goes up, the corresponding shoulder, the same shoulder feels like you pull it down. So as I lift up a hip, I feel like I push the shoulder down. So I'm contracting a side of the body, creating some creases in your midriff. So I've got a fair few creases at the moment that I can create, a little bit of a roll around my middle. Yeah, so that's how you would do it, but it is just practice. You squeeze those things together, and then as you're dancing, of course, it gives the illusion that your shoulders haven't moved, but they are actually moving. Everything really is moving in harmony at the same time. Yeah, she did a runner. She did a runner.
Margaret said, "How about a quiz?"
I'll address that I'll address that next Wednesday a little bit as well. All right, because we'll start with a bit of jive and finish something else. Yeah, so we'll start with jive and do something else afterwards. Yeah, that doesn't sound like a bad idea.
With the quiz.
With the quiz, yeah, a dance-related quiz.
Demonstrating steps, and we have to name them.
But trust me, most people won't have a clue. Oh, it's that thingy that comes after the what's it. Yeah.
Yeah, we do teach people that use that kind of language, don't we?
Yeah. Anyway,
to be honest, sometimes I often forget the names of steps, so you know.
I don't.
Well, you don't.
No, I don't.
You're you.
It's a tricky one, that though. It's a tricky one because there's an awful lot of steps.
Yeah, and some of them need a bit of space, don't they?
Well, I could record it on a Saturday.
Yeah.
Couldn't I? So that's not a big deal.
Oh yeah, I see what you mean. Yeah,
record them, pre-record them.
Things.
Yeah.
It's an idea. You can have a tinker. You can have a think about that.
Yeah, I can have a think about it. Anyway, I need a topic, obviously, for tomorrow. Tomorrow's video.
Topic for next week.
So if people can have a little think about that whilst you're watching now the video that I've already prepared earlier, which is a little bit about posture. So sit back and enjoy this. I don't think there's any participation really. You can get up and have a go and some things and have a feel, and then we can have a chat about it afterwards, and then we can talk about what we're going to record for you tomorrow. All right. So hopefully you'll enjoy this. I've just got to get it ready. There we go. It's all ready. Okay, enjoy. See you in half an hour.
We're going to get a drink.
Hello everybody and welcome to episode 3 of Learn in 30. And today I'm going to talk about posture. So like all of the elements of ballroom dancing and Latin American dancing, posture is equally as important as everything else. Some might argue that it's actually more important because if you stand well, then you are received well. Because in any walk of life, in anything that you do, you are received by people by the way you look. So unfortunately, we can't help the way that we typically judge people as we see them or make a judgment call on someone. So if you stand badly or appear to stand badly, then that will reflect you to whoever it is that's receiving you. So if you go in for a job interview and you're all slumped like this, now unless you've got an unfortunate structure of the body, then instantly the feeling that someone's getting from you is that you're not necessarily involved or into the interview perhaps. And of course that's very relevant to dance. So if you stand well and present yourself well, instantly the perception is that you are going to dance well. It of course means that when you move you might not at all. We might do heel leads and destroy some little fairy houses in the forest. But initially, the initial perception of you, or the look that you portray, will look good. Okay, so posture is vital. Posture is super important, and not only does it make you look better and give the onlookers a perception of you as a dancer, or in anything really, a positive perception, but it allows you to move more efficiently. So when our body is in alignment correctly, then it is able to move more freely and more efficiently. So in a sense, posture is the same for everybody. Now obviously some of us have different, but we all have a different body. So obviously males and females, we have a different body, genetically and biologically we're different. So we have different bits. However, essentially the skeletal structure underneath all of the flesh is essentially the same, of course. Some people have some little imperfections perhaps, or little differences, but ultimately what we do as a male or a female will be the same. So the way in which we approach it is going to be no different. The first thing to bear in mind is that the spine is curved. So the body has a natural curvature, and we always want to embrace the body's natural curves. So curves and angles are beautiful. So with that in mind to start with, we never want to try and produce straight lines in our body. Now it might appear that we have some straight lines, but I'm not ever trying to be straight. Something that I went through as a younger dancer, and I had this conversation with many other people over the years, is that when they were first learning posture and learning to stand up straight, they'd be put against a wall and told to put their spine flat against the wall. Now what that does, it produces a restriction, because then your body is not embracing its natural curves. And our bodies are designed to move fluidly with curves, especially in the spine. So we've got a curve at the top here, and then we've got another little curve here towards the front of the chest, and then we've got another curve here at the base of the spine. When we had, there's also another little curve that goes underneath, but we don't have to worry about that one for now. Okay, not when we're dancing anyway, or ever really, to be honest. I think that's when we had tails in evolutionary terms. Anyway, so those three curves must always be present, but the most important two that I especially talk about and think about is the curve here on the chest, the thoracic curve, and then the lumbar curve here as well. So in essence, generally speaking, your rib cage or your sternum, the bit in between the ribs, is the furthest forward part of the body at all times, and then the buttocks will always be the furthest back part of the body. This is when we're standing up straight, okay, standing still. So you'd never want to have your the back here behind your seat, and likewise what that also does on the other side, of course, it tilts your pelvis forwards. Now we don't want to have this position either, where we're impinging or pushing ourselves into the space of our partner. Okay, now this is the same for ballroom and Latin as well, because neither of those positions, neither in ballroom or Latin is this an attractive position or body position to have, because that's not attractive, is it? It's not. It doesn't make you want to dance with someone if they come at you like this. It's not a great look. So the first thing that we need to ensure that we do is pick up the sternum. The sternum is always picked up, all right? And then you allow, hopefully, the pelvis just to sit underneath in its neutral position. Now, some people have, over the years, of course, have a tendency to have this sort of position, and this is what's called a sway back posture, and we don't want that. So you want to ensure that the pelvis is hanging neutrally underneath your upper body. Generally, I find that this is easy to grasp when you just pick up the chest. So the chest is picked up, the sternum is lifted forward, up and forward, and then hopefully the pelvis will find its position. Now, sometimes we have to exaggerate these things. So when we're dancing, dancing is an exaggeration of natural movement essentially. And in a sense, we have to then exaggerate our body's natural curves. So as I said, the spine is an S shape essentially. So we want to embrace those curves and then exaggerate them, because dancing isn't isn't normal, is it? Really. And when we're dancing, we are having lots of forces impacted on us. So our body needs to be braced and ready to take on those forces. So you've got to do a little bit more and feel quite strong. So back to posture. So I'm keeping the sternum lifted and I'm keeping it forward, and I'm allowing the base of my spine to feel that it's at the back of my body. Now you may feel, as I say, that you have to tilt your pelvis backwards. You might have to feel you stick your bottom out essentially. You've got to be careful with this, because you don't want to look like you're broken like this. So no one wants to dance like a duck, okay? Because they'll think you're crackers. So we don't want to dance like a duck. We don't want to be broken. All right, so these things have to be, and actually these things are personal. So this is a generalization that I'm talking about. Of course, everyone's body is different. So the amounts and the degrees with which you'll have to do this to get the desired effect are going to be different for each person, because it depends how long your legs are, how wide your hips are, how big your chest is, and that sort of thing, how deep you are in terms of a skeletal structure. There's all sorts of things that you have to take into consideration, but this is a generalization. So I can't stress enough how important it is to pick up the chest and the sternum lifted. So that's for men and ladies. Now, of course, it's about the bones being furthest forward. I appreciate that ladies, of course, and maybe some men may have a little bit more flesh in front of their sternum, but it is the sternum, the bone structure there, that I'm going to be pushing forwards, which gives me a pronounced chest. Now, when you're standing on your own, you might feel a bit self-conscious, but if you've got a partner attached to you, you haven't got to worry too much. But in Latin, of course, we want to embrace these things anyway. So you need to be lifted. Headlights on full beam, as I say. And then the base of the spine is the furthest back part of the body. Now, the head, hopefully, is just going to be held. Now, you don't want to do anything like this. We don't want to adjust the head position at all. So if you've got your eyes level, and pick a spot on a wall or whatever and keep your eyes fixed on the spot. So if I slump for a second, so if I stand kind of naturally, which is a bit more relaxed, and if I then pick up my chest, my eye line doesn't change, and I don't want to move my head either, because you don't want to have a lifted chin, because what this will do is it will distort your posture, because the head's heavy. The head is the heaviest part of the body. So when you lift your head, that starts putting your cranium backwards, which ultimately will pull you backwards and pull you out of good posture and pull you out of your foot. So what you want to do is try and keep the head in a neutral position as well. This will often make you feel as though you are looking downward or having a downward feel, perhaps, because your eyes are at the front of your newsflash. Your eyes are at the front of your face, or at the front of your head here. So if you do that with your eyes and look up like that, actually it shortens your neck. So your neck becomes short. So what you don't want to do, you don't want to do that. You want to keep your neck long like this. And then if you need to, you can look up. Now you can project yourself upwards. There's a slight change through here, but you're never doing this. So when people say to you, look up with your eyes, because funny enough, your eyes move independently, unless you're Action Man, which in case, then they only move left and right. So you look up. When I come to poise in a moment as well, then I can show you how you can get that upward shape that ladies have specifically. But anyway, so you want to feel that your head is held in position and doesn't tilt backwards, and likewise doesn't tilt forwards as well. Something that I used to do, and I did this on the way to Blackpool one year, driving up, so it was a long journey, 5 hours at that time. I wore a shirt that was too small for me, so it was very tight around the neck, and then I got a ruler and put that ruler down the back of my shirt. So it was attached to me quite strongly. It was on the top of my spine, and it was on the top of my back of my head here as well, to keep me in this position while I was driving all the way, to ensure that I kept my head in the right place. Because something I always used to have a tendency to do was this, where I'd pull my head backwards, and then I'd get what's called back weighted. We don't want to do that either. You don't want to be back weighted, because that actually creates a counterbalance with your partner. And then you end up like this, and then you restrict your movement with your hips. So you don't want to do that either. I'll come to that shortly. So, head in a neutral position. pelvis in a neutral position with your buttocks backwards. And then your sternum is lifted. So what you would hopefully see is a straight line going through the center of my head, into the front of my shoulder, through the center of my rib cage, through into my hips, here, the center of my hips, and then down the floor into the center of my foot. So just in front of the heel would be here. So that's where my weight would be. Okay, and then you know you're in alignment. So the blocks of weight are all lined up in balance. Okay, so you've got the head, the shoulders, the chest, and the hips. And you want to ensure that they are all in alignment and in balance. Now, it's not just, so they're not in the same position, they're all in the same alignment, because of course they're all different sizes and weights. Now, when you've got different weights and different size things, and you want to keep them in an upright position, you have to take into consideration elements of counterbalance. So essentially, the chest and the hips are in counterbalance because they feel like they're going in opposite directions. So I feel the chest is going forward, and I feel as though the hips are going backwards ever so slightly. I wouldn't want to take the chest and the hips back because then I'd fall backwards, and likewise I wouldn't want to take the chest and the hips forward because I'd feel like I was falling forwards. There's much more to it than that, but at the moment we're just talking about standing still and essentially what you need to feel like you're doing. So I'm counterbalancing the chest going forward and the feeling of the hips going backwards. Now, the head, I'm just not trying to worry about that too much at all, because when you do too much with your head, it actually does really affect you a great deal. So we want your head to try and stay as still as possible, just looking straight ahead. And the shoulders are pulled back. Now, the shoulders pulling back again is another counterbalance for the rib cage, because the rib cage and the chest, sternum is going forward, the shoulders feel like they pull backwards. Now, a great exercise to get you into position here, something just as an exercise, and again, you need to overdo these things because most people of an adult age anyway are slightly here, because natural life that we lead essentially is all encompassed right in front of us here. So if you think about when you're working, if you're looking at a computer, if you're on a phone, you're writing, even watching telly, everything's centered around a spot in front of you here. And typically what happens is we encapsulate that and we round ourselves off into little environment. Driving's the same as well. So we're kind of, rounded around our steering wheels. So to stand like this and move like this on a regular basis is a bit strange. It's a bit alien to most people. And in normal life, it's not something that we would do, of course. However, if you're a dancer, it's something you have to do all the time to constantly reinforce it. So it feels a bit more natural for someone like myself who's danced since I was 2. But if you've come into dancing a bit later, this is going to feel a bit strange. So you've got to exaggerate and work extra hard to put your body in that position, because it's not going to want to go in that position. So a good little exercise to work the chest area is to feel that you pull your shoulders back and your shoulder blades together to meet in the middle. Now, it's quite extreme. That's not a position you'd want to dance in forever, but to start with, it's a great place to be to discipline your body for a new position. Now, this might be a bit tough. You might feel a tightness. I mean, I do as well at the moment because I haven't danced a great deal recently. So this pulls through the pectoral muscles down here and my shoulder blades are pulling back. Now, that looks quite extreme if I turn to the side. So I'd want to just relax that a bit if I can, and then my arms can go into position. And then I've got the good position with my chest. Now, if I take away that tension or the tone through my shoulders, it's harder to get the position. Not so much for me because I've done it a lot, but it's a great exercise for you to do, to pull those shoulders back to make sure that your sternum is in the correct place. When you're dancing ballroom as well, as a man especially, the frame is vital and the structure is so important. Now, if there's a weakness when you're dancing, it doesn't allow you to dance very well. It doesn't make you look very good either. So if the upper body breaks down through lack of muscular control, then things are going to be tricky because suddenly your posture goes, your partner's in the wrong place, and you're not going to be able to move so easily. So these exercises are really, really good for the men especially, for those of you that want to work on your upper body. Latin's a little bit different in this respect because in Latin, of course, we have movement through the back. So the back is constantly evolving and changing. So this exercise is predominantly more for the ballroom dancers. However, it doesn't hurt to do it if you're a Latin dancer anyway. I guess the majority of people that would watch this do a bit of both. So it doesn't hurt. And even when you're doing Latin, you still need to be mindful of this position, maybe this sort of activity. That's something to come in later once you've mastered your posture, because if you want to have lots of activity through your back, male or female, then you need to have an understanding of posture, because otherwise you're going to be all over the shop. And that becomes a bit more mambo-esque and salsa-esque, where it's a bit more rounded and relaxed. Obviously, Ballroom Latin is a bit more disciplined and has a bit more structure in the upper body. So it's good to be aware of that. So just to reinforce those positions, I'm going to say it again, it's repetitive. Sternum lifted, buttocks back, shoulders back, and then the head just held in a neutral position. And you want to feel that your head weight is over your feet, okay? So you don't want to have your head past your feet either way, because again, that will pull you off your balance. Now, when I move, my body's going to be under some natural forces, and it's going to want to pull me out of those positions. So my analogy for this is that when you're in a car, and let's say you're a passenger, because I don't want you to do this as a driver, it's not a good idea. So if you have the window down and you put your arm out the window and you're not moving, it's relatively easy to keep your arm in position. Now, as you get faster, of course, the wind resistance is going to want to push your arm backwards, and you're going to fight that to keep your arm in the exact same position. So as the car goes faster, the effort level increases, but to the onlooker, so someone looking from outside the car, all they see is you sitting upright with the arm out. They don't feel the effort to keep the arm in the same position. They see it as the arm and the body in the same relationship at 0 miles an hour to 50 miles an hour. It's exactly the same, but the level that you're putting into it to maintain that position obviously increases. And that is the same with dance. So you may well stand like this beautifully before you move, and you're putting a level of effort of 4 in, but as soon as you move off the spot into something, to keep that same body position, you have to increase the effort. So you have to stretch the sternum further forward. You have to feel like you allow the hips to go further back. You feel like you've got to pull the shoulders that little bit more. Try not to do much with the head though still. So as you move more, you have to put more effort in to keep that same body position. And that is the same for both male and female. It changes across the sexes there. So the more you do, the more effort you have to put in to keep the same body position. Otherwise, rotational forces, gravitational forces, just the fact that you're moving off the spot will pull your body out of position and your posture will suffer. So when you're first learning good posture and to maintain it, it actually becomes quite hard and stiff. So there's nothing wrong with that. You have to become hard, stiff and strong. You have to be strong in your body to get the positions and to understand the posture and to discipline yourself. Over time, of course, your body gets more used to it, you get a bit more muscle memory, so you can feel softer. But you can only be soft from a position of strength. You cannot build upon softness because it just stays soft. It's just soft, isn't it? So I'm sure there's some other analogies I could use there, but I can't think of any off the top of my head. So if we look at a bit of posture and some movement, let's take a forward action. Doesn't matter if you're man or lady, just a forward drive action. So you're standing beautifully, you've got your sternum forward, you've got your buttocks back, and you've got your shoulders back and your head held in a nice neutral position. As you step forward, so what you've got to ensure is that the spine still stays, in a visual sense, straight. Of course, it's not straight, it's beautifully curved as we've discussed. So as I move forward, to allow this to happen, my hips have to flex and my joints have to flex to allow my body to stay in an upright position. So I have to go through my left leg there, the left ankle, knee and hip are all working, they're all flexing to allow me to keep my spine in that upright position. Now if I miss out the hips, for instance, I'm going to swing my pelvis forward and I'm out of posture. I can't do it without the knee because that's a bit strange. Again, I'll do that, lean forward, and I really can't do it without the ankle moving. So it's important that the joints then work underneath your 4 blocks of weight to allow you to keep your upper body, your posture correct. And this is where people tell you to bend your knees, sometimes in lessons and teachings. So it's important to bend your knees, but generally speaking, most people that learn to dance or want to learn to dance can already bend their knees because they've walked in. So I haven't yet taught anyone that's walked in for a lesson like this, said, "Can you teach me to dance, please?" The first thing I would say is probably not, because your knees don't work. You haven't got your knees. And our knees work. We don't have to think about how much we bend our knees and how much they work, because they just do it, because we've learned how to do that from when we were very young, learning to walk. So you will bend your knees. No one, I don't know anyone that ever dances on literally locked straight legs. So it's quite damaging sometimes for posture when people talk about bending knees, because if you bend your knees and don't think about your hips, this is the sort of thing that happens. So you lean back. So as a lady, you bend your knees and fall backwards. So it's vital that four joints work. So you've got the ball joint, the ankle joint, the knee joint, and the hip joint. All four of them have to work in harmony to keep your body in the correct position. And that's not just on the one leg, it's on the other leg as well, because as I go forward, if I'm doing a forward step on the right foot, this leg has to flex. So my knee's flexing, the hip is working to keep my buttocks at the back of my body. So without that, if I just do it with the knee, then that happens, and I come underneath like this, and I start getting a bit pelvic, I call it. So that has to flex. And then the receiving leg also has to start thinking about flexing as well, to allow my body to be received, my body weight to be received, to keep my posture in the right place. Again, there is more to this. That's not the end of the story. There are things that we need to do with the hips and driving from the hips and that sort of thing. But in a sense, you have to allow these joints to work to start with before you can then start applying the other aspects. Because posture, static posture is tricky to achieve, perhaps, but it isn't as difficult as applying dynamic posture where you're moving, because there's so many other things to consider. Because we've got sway, we've got rotation, we've got swing, and those other elements are going to affect your posture, so you have to change and adapt accordingly. But in a sense, in this very simplistic sense at the moment, first of all, you've got to allow all of your joints below your waist to work fluidly so that your body stays upright. That's the first port of call. And then once you can do that, then you can start adding all sorts of other elements to make your dancing look better and to develop it. Moving backwards is the same. So whether you're moving forward or backwards, we've still got to ensure that we flex our joints. So I'm standing on the right foot, going to move back on the left again. It doesn't matter if you're a man or lady. So my knee is flexing, my hip is flexing as well, as is my ankle. And then my receiving leg's going to do the same sort of job as well, to receive my weight, to allow my body to stay upright. Then I'm going to start altering my posture, which ultimately alters your movement and affects your partner, your clash, like that. Now, in Latin, it's a little different because we don't have the same movement across the floor. So we don't have any flight, of course, in the Latin. So the hips work in a slightly different way, as do the knees a bit as well. They don't have to receive weight in the same way. But ultimately, if I'm standing up beautifully and I'm going to move forwards, now rather than my hip flex, if I go around this way actually for a second, rather than my hip flexing backwards to propel me forwards, the hip flexes out to the side, like that, to allow me to move forwards, okay? And my knee doesn't work in the same way. I'm not flexing my knee because I don't want to lower. There's no lowering action. So the hip goes out to allow my upper body to stay in the same position. Again, if I didn't do that, I might end up with this sort of thing. So you see this in rumba and cha-cha with some dancers. You'll get this sort of thing, cha-cha, dee-da, and obviously they're tick-tocking. The upper body is moving and their posture isn't quite right. So to allow you to stay in perfect posture, you've got to allow your joints to work so that your carriage of weight is easy and efficient. So to finish off, I'll just talk a little bit about poise. Now, poise is to carry or hold your weight in a specific way. Now, poise is something that lady ballroom dancers would be is more prevalent for them because of the position they would have in the man's hold, where they would be called, it says they're poised to the left and slightly backwards. Now, The feeling, of course, is that your head, if I'm just doing this as a lady, you're poising your head to the left away from your man, okay? And in doing so, everything has to change. So if you think of your spine just square on for a second, and it just bends a little bit like a nice bit of bamboo. So bamboo's got a little bit of flexibility in it, hasn't it? So you'd hold the base of that, and you then poise the top of it over to the left. Now the feeling is there's an ever so slight change of your base of your spine to the right, and then your body will curve out to the left. What I'm not doing though is altering my posture at all. I'm not altering the position of those blocks of weight that we discussed earlier. They're still all positioned in the same position, same place. The buttocks feel like they're slightly back. The sternum feels like it's slightly forward. The head is held in a nice neutral position. I've got a softness through my joints to allow me to do this. Shoulders are back. And then I just poise my head to the left. Now what I've not done is that's very important. So I look to the left. So to start with, look to the left. That's where you've got to look. That's to start with, and then I just feel like I feel there's a heaviness on the outside of my head on the left, pulling it slightly out that way. So I'm poising that way, but I'm not allowing my head to drop or break at the neck. Now, there's an element of counterbalance here as well. So the more that this goes that way, the more that this area goes forward. However, it is not a distortion or change in the block of weight. So I'm here, if I go back to the position that we had before, so I'm normally structured, everything's in line. And then if I do this, I'm softening through my joints to allow me to do this, but everything is changing proportionally. So I'm not doing that, I'm not pulling that away, and I'm not pushing that forwards. So everything changes together, so everything's counterbalancing. Now you might then get a little bit of extra stretch if you're a lady to do that position, all right? So what I'm not doing is dropping into that position or pulling my weight away from my partner. So that is poise. Poise is essentially the position of the head. And to do that, you mustn't alter posture. You must just counterbalance a bit more. So I feel that the head as I feel that the head goes left, I feel that the lower half of my body goes to the right to poise me to the left. Now, of course, you can do the same thing to the right. So this would be promenade position for a lady. So I can feel that I'm poising my head to the right. Whilst doing that, the lower half of my spine will go to the left. But I'm not adjusting, I'm not changing or pulling anything out of position. It's very important that you don't allow yourself to pull away from your man. So the upper body mustn't do things independently. It always has to be connected to what's going on down below. So this is moving that way to allow that to move that way. The man has a similar sort of thing, but just not as extreme. So if you think of ballroom dancing, good ballroom dancing, you'll always see the lady stretched and beautifully out to the left, to the man's right, and the man will generally stand upright and counterbalance that. Now, typically speaking, the man's position is more dominant than the lady's. Men are generally bigger than the ladies, so their mass, their weight, and their position will counterbalance that extra shape and poise that the lady is producing. Sometimes when you've got a body position with your partner where there's not a great deal of difference between you, you may feel that you have to do some as well as a male dancer. So when Kelly and I dance, we're not too far off in heights. Weights I was half as heavy again as Kelly when we competed. However, with the size, our relative heights, it did mean that I needed to produce a little bit of poise myself. And that's also a style choice. So men can do that too, so we can produce some poise. And if you're of the very similar heights and very similar weights, you can both almost do exactly the same thing, like a beautiful flower peeling away from each other. However, that is a style choice, and it's not to everyone's taste. It isn't to mine. I like to see a dominant male position with the lady producing this beautiful, elegant female form from his body. That's my choice, I quite like it. However, every now and then I do feel a bit fruity, and I don't mind doing a little bit of poise myself, but I'm trying my best not to alter posture. So it is just the position of the head, but as we talked about earlier, when you move a block of weight, you have to counterbalance the other parts to allow it to happen. So if the head is moving to the left, then the lower part of your body needs to move to the right. You can't just lean to the left and hope that you're going to stay on balance. You can't break posture either like this with your head, because again, that looks difficult. As you can tell, it's difficult to speak. Now, a lot of ladies get like that, and they get stuck like that, and they can't breathe. It's not good. Another position that ladies get stuck with when they're talking about the poise is they stand up quite normally and they go into hold and they do that. So what they've done here is they've kept their eyes exactly where they are and moved everything backwards away from that. So that's called, there's a great book called The Thinking Body. I'll link to it. It's an old book written a long time ago, and there's a section in there about the ocular joint. Now the ocular joint, it's not a joint as in the elbow, not a fixed point like that. However, you can move around your eyes. So if I fix my eyes at the camera now, I can move. Now, to all intents and purposes, it feels like my eyes aren't moving because I'm looking at the same spot. However, they are moving in my head to allow my body to move around it. So that's what's called the ocular joint. Now, many ladies fix their eyes, get their arms into position, and then they do that. They forget about the head position because their eyes are fixed and they feel like they've done something, but actually then they produce bad posture and bad poise. So unfortunately, ladies, when you're learning to do this, you've got to stand beautifully. And then when you do this, you've got to learn to look at the world sideways, either to the left in a closed position or to the right in a promenade position. But the feeling is that your left eye is lower in closed and your right eye is lower in promenade. This doesn't relate to Latin because it's seldom you would have a position where you'd have poise like that in Latin. So the ballroom has a few other little things to consider. Latin, generally speaking, ladies, you'll be upright with your eye line level. There are, of course, times when you may move and that sort of thing, but you're not producing this sort of poise in any basic figure. However, you would do in some advanced actions where you might do some sort of lines and that sort of thing where you would curve, and then you would have poise. But it's exactly the same, there's no difference. So you're still going to make sure that you counterbalance your head in the base of the spine away from each other, rather than taking them all together, because that just won't work. Okay, you always want to have a nice curve through the spine, either left or right. And you've got the natural S curve of the spine to embrace at all times as well. So embrace your body's natural curves, all of them, throughout your body. Curves and angles are beautiful, remember. Never accentuate it though too much. Don't dance like a duck. However, when you first do these things, you do need to work hard at it because your body's not going to like it. So don't be afraid to force the issue, especially through the back and the front here. When you're pulling those shoulders back, that'll be something that will smart a little when you first do it. Try to avoid tilting the pelvis. That's not a great idea at all. Try and have the pelvis in a neutral position, but remembering when you're standing still upright, your buttocks are always the furthest back part of your body, and in the front, it's always your sternum that's the furthest forward part of your body. And then in terms of poise, that's all about the position of your head. Don't forget to counterbalance with the base of the spine as well. So the head goes left, the hips and the lower half goes to the right, and vice versa. When you go to the right, the hips and the base of the spine go to the left. And generally, ultimately, if it looks beautiful, it's right. So there we go. That's a little bit about posture, a little bit about poise. Stand beautifully, and I'll see you again soon.
So there we go. Did you learn something, Kelly?
Always, darling. Always.
Yeah, did you learn something? Because I do that. You're not even there, are you? You don't even know what I'm going to say. That week, you helped me with the camera the week before.
I did. Yeah.
So this week, you didn't know what I was saying. So
No.
what animal was that just poked their head up above the sofa and then down again? I
Was
saw
there?
a paw and a head, and then it came.
What,
It was
the
like
lady-
it was like a person. It honestly, there we go.
There she is. That's our Doris.
Yeah,
She's quite a timid cat. Bless her.
she is very timid. Yes.
She hisses at Buddy when he gets close to her, and then he gets a little bit closer and she meows. The sweetest little meows. She is telling him to go away, but the meows just sound terribly cute, don't they?
Yes.
Bless her. She's not aggressive at all.
Well, she appears to be to start with when she hisses. And
yeah,
then,
she hisses and then it's like, meow.
but don't touch me.
Yeah, please don't hurt me.
Yeah.
Bless her.
So anyway, that was your little posture video. Hopefully that was useful for those of you that aren't quite sure what to do.
I thought it was very thorough.
There's so much more to it though, of course, isn't there? You
course.
can't talk about posture really.
Posture's like
30 minutes.
especially because, like you said, everyone is different. So when you're exploring posture for yourself, you have to go through everything with a fine-tooth comb and learn about your body, don't you?
Yeah.
And how to stand for you, because that's really, really, really important. It's not really a one size fits all.
No.
I don't think is
No,
there?
it's not.
I mean, the basic idea of it is, but you do have to make adjustments, don't you?
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. Fine pair of shoulders, really, you'd think we need to worry about this sort of thing. Are the shoulder posture frames worth trying for the men? They are.
Yes.
Yeah, absolutely.
I say for a time, yes.
For a period of time. When you're first learning
They
and
don't-
developing and disciplining your bodies, absolutely. Eventually, no. But
They
to
don't
start
fix everything, but they will help. Yeah.
strengthening your body is important, and understanding where you've got to put your arms and your back and that sort of thing is important. But the frame, of course, forces the issue. It makes you do it. But I'm not a keen advocate of that ultimately, because it.
Well, it restricts movement.
Yeah, the frame
Somewhat,
and
doesn't
ultimately
it?
the frame shouldn't be fixed. The frame
But
is fluid.
initially it is.
Initially it is, and eventually it's fluid.
Unfortunately, you have to go through a bit of a process. So
Yeah,
initially,
you
you have
do.
to be quite fixed.
As I said in the video, if you're paying attention, Kelly,
well,
you
I
have to
know.
be strong and hard.
Yeah, and then you can soften.
Yeah. Do you know, no, I said stiff and hard, and then I added strong to make it not sound so bad, because I realised what I'd said. And I didn't want to do a cut and another take, so I said and strong.
They're used to you within your
I know. I
words.
honestly wasn't trying to be rude in the slightest, but it did come across as though I was implying a certain amount of rudeness. I was going to say rudity. That's a
You
new
did
word.
say rudity.
Rudity. Yeah, yeah.
Language always develops and evolves.
It
doesn't
does.
So
Yeah,
let's
rudity. Yeah.
make up new words.
Margaret said, "Thank you. That was a good reminder."
Oh.
I'm sure that there's a lot of things there that I've never told Margaret actually. But it's a good reminder.
I'm sure she's referring to things that.
I hope
you
she's
said
practicing.
before.
I hope she got up off of her sofa and did it. And had a go. Yeah. So has anyone had a thought about what you'd like us to record? Well, me to record tomorrow, other than the holds, the frame and the holds, because we've got another week before we can do that, because Kelly needs another week to starve herself before she goes in front
I
of the
haven't
camera.
actually starved myself. I've just started exercising.
I know. Yeah.
So after a very long time, 2020 in terms of activity, pretty minimal really. Even though we did those lockdown workouts and stuff, it was still
Yeah.
compared to what we're normally doing, pretty low.
Yeah. Well, I've noticed it as well. I've put a lot of weight on as well. My trousers that were...
Yeah, but last time when we went back to work, whenever it was, either July or whatever,
July.
the weight just drops off of you. As soon as you go back into it.
Have you seen what my job is, though?
Yes.
It's a lot of effort, girl. It's a lot of effort.
I'm not saying anymore.
I'm only messing about. Yeah. Juice says, some professional men seem to have a wide frame compared to others. Is that preferable?
No.
No, not necessarily. No. It all depends on your physical size and your partner's size, on how big your frame is. Elbow to elbow is a fixed position, fixed width, and that is however long your arm is to your elbow. So however long you are from shoulder to elbow, that's fixed, because that doesn't change in ballroom. What's flexible is the hands and the forearm, and there's a freedom to the shoulders, but you're not changing the length of elbow to elbow.
No.
What you're seeing potentially is the position of, if I come back into shot, is the left. You'll have to do it, Kel, with your left hand. Do it with your left hand, because otherwise I get out of shot. So it's the left hand position. So what happens is that sometimes men take the arm wider here, and what that does, of course, it pulls the lady's arm out like so. So it's not necessarily preferable.
I also think the height of the elbows changes that. So when the elbows are lower, it makes it look narrower. The higher the elbows, it makes everything look wider. That's not necessarily better though.
No.
I think people tend to try and get them up high to get this width look, and then they do that, and then sometimes the man does that, which I'm not a fan of either. I don't think it looks any good. It looks stressed, doesn't it? And you might think, oh well, it looks like you're putting in effort, but it just looks stressed, and it doesn't look beautiful. So I don't actually.
But sometimes if now you haven't got a very wide back.
No.
Your arms are about the same length as mine, but your back's quite narrow. So it meant that, in actual fact, that when we danced, I had to ensure my left hand was a bit closer. Because
Yeah.
if I took my left hand too wide, it pulled Kelly off her feet, and her arm was too straight,
And my arm was almost straight.
and her
then.
shoulder would come up. So it all depends on who you're dancing with, really. So if you see a couple with a massively wide arm, a big frame, it doesn't mean to say that
Could just be that they have
they're just really long arms and really wide backs. So you have to work with the tools that you're given.
Yeah.
But it doesn't mean to say it's better or worse at all. Of course, if you've got more weight, more size, more mass, you're going to create more power potentially, more movement. But
when it starts to look a bit,
it doesn't. It never means it's
look a bit wingy.
More does not always mean better though. Yeah, wingy. I like that word, Kel.
Wingy. Yeah.
What Jew means is a fine pair of shoulders. Yes, no one knows who they are. Fine pair of shoulders. They just turned up one day. They just named themselves fine pair of shoulders. Yeah.
I think that was some kind of in-joke in their class.
I think so.
Yeah.
I think so. Yeah. So still, no one's come up with anything particularly they want with any topic of discussion.
Yeah. So next week's lecture. So what have we covered? We've covered footwork.
Yep.
Sway. And then posture.
Yep.
So.
Featuring Ella, who's going to make an appearance.
No,
Hello,
it was just
darling.
because of Buddy.
What's
Are
he
you
done?
going to do your little hair switch? Oh no, has he done a poo?
Yes, but I knew he was going over there.
Mm-hmm.
I came to see if he was doing it, but he did it before I could even pick him up and take him to the mat.
Where did he do it?
On the curtains, but
Oh, the
you know the ones in the dining room.
Yeah.
Those ones.
I just washed the curtains. I've got to wash the other one.
Honestly, I think we should do his puppy pads mat thing should be made out of the curtains. Then he'd gladly go and do a poo on them, wouldn't he?
Oh,
I know I would.
so fed up with it all. Does anyone want a puppy?
Hey, that's my seat.
Yes, I know it's
I've
there.
had to borrow
yes.
it.
Yes. All right, Ella, we'll come down and sort that out in a second.
Ella,
We'll come down and sort that out in a
I'll
second.
come and sort it out in a minute, okay?
Yes.
Oh my gosh.
So we've covered.
Sway, footwork, and posture.
Yes.
You want to do a little bit on the holds?
Yeah, we just
That's
on the whole that
maybe not
involves
this
you.
week, that'll be maybe the
I can
week
do.
after.
I can do something about Latin arms, but that's not a 30-minute lecture. It's not a 30-minute thing.
Timing.
Oh, that's too complex.
Now he's doing a fresh.
Timing in a particular dance?
Now he's doing a fresh wee on the mat.
I know. He will happily wee on the little puppy pads, but doing his other business on there, he doesn't want to do. He is the most stubborn dog I've ever met.
You never had because you've had lots of them.
Well, not since I was a kid. It's different. Anyway,
They don't all need to know about our puppy training exploits.
they do
Although
because
it's
they need to know my
entertaining.
pain. I'm in a lot
Yeah.
of pain, just emotional pain dealing with a puppy.
Right. So
There you go.
we could do time. Timing's a bit too complex, I think, really, to just.
Timing.
to just-
Well, you could do it maybe for a particular dance.
But what aspect of timing? Stay on. Here's the thing.
Stay on
It's
time.
cheap. This just stay on time. But that becomes complex. It comes about music, and it's a bit more difficult.
Okay. All right. I'm talking.
No,
I've
it's
come
great.
up with an
Thank you.
idea.
I know.
You've come up with an idea.
Well, I've got loads of ideas I can talk about, but I want to see if there's anything that people want to talk about.
Sway, posture.
Yeah.
Just thinking. Planes of movement.
Oh, they don't need to know about that. They can't put their foot in front of each other. They can't put one foot in
Well,
front
you
of the
talked
other.
about sway.
I'm messing. You can. Yeah. Again, I don't think that's 30 minutes worth. It would. It could be 30 minutes worth, but I'd bore them to tears.
What about centre?
I need
The
a body
common-
for that,
oh God.
won't I?
Not necessarily.
Yes, I would necessarily.
Not to talk about it.
Yes, I would necessarily. I'll come up with something.
An idea on how to practice. Wow. That's an interesting one.
Yes, that is an interesting one because some of you are in couples, some of you are single, so that makes it tricky.
Well, that's not
No,
necessarily.
tricky for them, of course, in terms of practice.
Well,
so
you'd
it
have to
does
cover
make
all
it.
different ways of practicing,
Yes.
which obviously we've talked about in the past about there being different ways to practice. And timing would be good. Can you simplify it?
I'll have a think. I'll have a think about that.
There you go. Well, you see, that's a question about timing, so you might have to address timing in some way, shape or form. Do it in waltz to start with. We got weeks of lectures that we can give now, couldn't we?
Yeah, but the thing is, I record it tomorrow, so I've got to think about it now.
Yeah, no.
In time for I've got to sleep on it and then do it tomorrow. Just do it. Turn the camera on and just do it.
Yeah, but it'll be fun.
Okay. I don't know if I know enough about timing, Kel.
Timing and musicality, I guess.
Yeah, again, that's a massive topic, isn't it? Musicality.
Mm.
But then also I need you for these things as well to show.
don't.
Yes, I do, because if I'm going to show musicality and timing, I need a body.
No, you
To,
don't.
I do. I
No.
do. I do. I need you to do things with you to show expression, musicality, timing, how the difference. You can use timing differently.
You don't.
I do, ladies and gentlemen. I do.
You can dance it solo.
Anything else?
I have every faith in you, darling. Foxtrot timing, for example, would be good. I think you could give a brief description, perhaps, of each
I can
dance
do.
and
I tell you what I can. I tell you what I can do is leg action and how that relates to timing.
Mhm. Yes.
Yes.
There we go. We've
All right.
we've discussed and we've debated.
Okay. So I can do that a little bit in foxtrot, a bit in waltz, and a bit in rumba,
Throwing in the old Latin dance.
and a bit of samba maybe as well. Oh, I'd love that, wouldn't they? 3/4 timings. I love all that. You don't know what you've asked for. You see, you don't know what beast you've
Spins.
unleashed.
Kevin Bloomer says spins. What about spins?
Kevin doesn't.
Oh, Linda.
Linda Bloomer says
Linda
that, but
says
she's just using Kevin's Facebook
I know.
account.
I know. I'm just reading.
Because I don't think Kevin wants to know about spins. I don't think he's
I'm
interested.
sure he does.
Yeah, I don't think he's interested. What about spins? Yeah, we can talk about spins. Spins again is not 30 minutes worth, but that's there are a few things that we can talk about that are smaller, so I can do little bite-sized chunks over 30 minutes, perhaps.
There you go.
Okay.
You got a bit to work with.
Oh, thanks very much.
Yeah.
Thanks.
Well done, darling.
Thanks very much. Yeah. The video of the recap video of the posture workshop is now online. It's on YouTube now for you to watch with a little intro and exit as well. So I've just made that live for you all, so you can watch that at your heart's content, and as much as you
There's
want to
quite a
enjoy
lot
it.
to take in there with the posture.
There is, and you can watch it back. It'll be in glorious 4K as well.
How to balance when you're older, and you need to turn on your own.
Well, there's a very good thing with turning. Any kind of turn that you make is important. Not spin. Spins are different. Spins a turnaround. A spin or a pivot is a turn of literally on a fixed point. So you're turning around the spot. So any kind of turn, though, which has a moving element to it, you just need to ensure that you have a big base. Because the wider your base is, so the greater the distance between your feet, the more stable you are. So we talk about a base of support. Now, the bigger your base of support, the easier it is to stabilise yourself. So you think of the Eiffel Tower. So it's not the top of it. Obviously, it is big, of course. But if you think of it in context, it's not a very big. The peak, the top of the Eiffel Tower is quite small in respect of the base. The base is enormous in comparison, so it keeps it all very stable. Now, if it was up the other way around, of course, and you're that tiny little top of the Eiffel Tower in contact with the floor with that great big base, it would have trouble to balance. And if it's then moving, it's very difficult indeed. So the bigger your base, the easier it is to balance when you're turning.
Sarah just said, yes, spins, I agree. That is more what I meant when I said turns.
Ah.
So after you just said all
Ah,
that.
waffled on and on
Do you know
and
what?
on.
I saw that come up and I was like, I don't want to interrupt you now. Sorry. But yes, spins and turns are different. And that's important to know as well.
Ultimately, it's all about distribution of weight. You get the weight distribution wrong and you're stuffed. So I can talk about that. Distribution of weight, incorporate turns. I'll come up with something. Don't worry.
Rotation,
Yeah.
which is kind of like an add-on to sway, isn't it? So.
Yes, it is. Latin, of course, has more spins than
Yes.
it does turns.
Yes.
Because generally you'll do a spin or a switch turn in Latin where your feet don't move, but you turn and change direction.
Whereas Borum, there's more
Borum
turns.
generally we turn, of course,
Because turns tend to be done over a number of steps, not on one step or one pivoting action.
Yeah.
Although we have a pivoting action, but not as many.
Yeah, but you're also connected to someone else.
Yes.
So you've got 4 legs. Chairs don't fall over, do they? chairs don't fall over typically on their own, do they?
If they're a little bit wobbly, maybe.
Only if you sit on them heavy. But if someone sat on me heavy, then I'd fall over as well, I'm sure. But four legs are pretty stable. People say that the most stable object, of course, is a tripod. However, that is true in a static position. But when you apply a directional force to a tripod, what would you call a group of a collective of tripods? Tripodes. Anyway, lots of tripods. Anything that's got three legs, if you apply a directional force to it, it falls over instantly. If you apply a directional force to something with four legs, it generally moves in the direction that you've applied the force. So it's easier. Now, if you have two legs on its own, now you have to ensure that the center of your body weight or your mass is right in between the feet or right on one foot to make sure you're balanced. It's very difficult. So on your own, when you're dancing on your own and you're turning, it's difficult because you've got to factor in where your weight is in between your own feet. Now, if you've got another body to balance on, it's much easier.
Yes, but equally when you do ballroom, you should be balanced over your own 2 feet, shouldn't you?
Yeah,
rather
of course.
than relying on your partner.
Of course, but in turns, you are using the inside and outside of turn and counterbalancing against your partner.
Yes, I appreciate
So, yeah. There we go.
There we go.
Yeah, there we go. See, I've already waffled for a few minutes. I'm sure I can make it last 30.
I think we've done it.
I think we're done. I think we're done. It's time to go and have some dinner for us.
We're going to have some dinner.
Yeah.
Hope everyone's keeping okay.
Yeah.
It's hard, isn't it? It's hard. It's not a bit around
And
the bush,
especially
but,
to those of you that are on your own, it must be pretty difficult.
But
I mean, to be honest, I'd like to swap on occasions. I'm sure.
I would definitely like to swap.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
I've had enough of dogs, cats.
Children?
Well, I don't want to say children because no, actually I haven't had enough of her.
But, me then. You've had enough of me.
No, I haven't. No.
I'm still cooking every night almost.
He's been marvellous. He's been looking after us.
Yeah.
Haven't you?
Clean the kitchen.
I've been cleaning the kitchen too.
I clean it as well because you make it a mess.
I've been cleaning up after dog poo, which I'm about to go and do now.
Yeah. We need to go do that.
And wash the curtains again.
Yeah, wash the curtains. You shouldn't have got nice curtains, should we?
They're not that nice.
They look nice. But
they look nice, but they're not.
It's the curtains in the dining room. So if you join us on a Wednesday, it's those nice satiny looking curtains.
Yeah, they're not expensive
by the window,
or anything.
but-
They're not overly expensive.
But they look nice.
Yeah.
Yeah. Right. Should we make like a tree?
And leave.
Yeah.
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 That's
Okay.
what my dad used to say all the time.
Did he?
Yeah. Take care, everyone.
Thank you very much. I appreciate your comments. It's very kind of you all.
Hopefully it's
very much.
a good distraction from
Yeah, a little bit.
everything, something to get your mind into and everything. Have another listen to the lecture.
I have got a nice little concept I'm coming up with. I've got to put it together and work on it. So I'll work on it this week. Might have it by next week. I'm not sure. A separate thing altogether. A separate little video for you to enjoy. I've got to try it, see if it works. I've got to write it first as well.
Does it involve me?
No, it doesn't involve you at all. You'll be pleased to hear. Pleased to hear. No. How?
Make James
No.
push the curtains.
It does involve you.
Oh, no.
However, you won't be on camera.
Oh, that's fine. That's
Okay.
fine.
I will be on camera.
Okay.
So that's it. I think that's it really for now. So thank you very much for all tuning in, everybody. I hope that's been informative. I don't know what else there is to say for the time being, but just all of you to try and stay sane as best as you can. Get out and get some air, get some oxygen in your
Get
lungs.
some nice cold air.
Yeah, well, it's good to get some oxygen in your lungs and get some sun as best as you can. A bit of vitamin D is all good for you, and keep dancing as best as you can. So dance more and worry less.
If you think of anything else that you'd like us to talk about, you can always send us a message as well.
Hi, Bruce.
Hey, Bruce.
You've joined in as we're finishing.
At the end. At the end.
Yeah, you've joined us as we're about to finish.
But we appreciate everyone tuning in.
Thank you
very
everyone for
much.
tuning in, yeah.
And supporting us the way you have been. It's been marvellous. So thank you.
And I'll put the link in on our WhatsApp group, and I'll put it on Facebook to to this evening's lecture, so you can watch it in glorious 4K when it's finished processing.
4K.
The low res version's up, but the 4K version's not quite. Yeah,
Can't do
whatever.
okay.
The 4K version isn't uploaded yet, but you can watch it in SD, which is so good. If you want to recap what we've done, what I did tonight, you can. And I'll record you something fabulous tomorrow for next Friday. In the meantime, don't forget Matteo and Jessica are on tomorrow night again from 6:30 for 2 hours of dancing.
Tomorrow, Saturday.
Sorry, Sunday.
Sunday.
Thank you for the recap.
Sunday.
Thank you for the recap. Thank you for the
Reminder.
Kel. Yeah. So nothing tomorrow. Night off tomorrow for you, everyone.
Have a party.
You're having a party tomorrow, aren't you?
Ella and I are having a slumber party tomorrow night. We're gonna sleep in here.
Yeah.
And we're gonna watch films and stuff and do girly stuff. We're gonna make a face mask.
Yeah. The thing that she's most excited about is the midnight snacks.
Oh really? Yeah. We've got like little crisps and
No,
chocolates.
literally at midnight. She wants them at midnight.
Oh my god! I'll be asleep by then.
Yeah, she said, I can't wait. We're having midnight snacks at midnight.
I didn't actually say that. I just said we'd have snacks. I didn't say it'd have to be at
Clearly,
midnight.
she's seen that somewhere else.
She's made it up in her head.
Yeah,
She's run away. She's very excited.
I'm looking forward to having a night on my own, actually.
You are going to be looking after Buddy.
Oh, no, I'm not.
You
I'm
are.
going to lock him in the kitchen at 8:30.
Oh, that's nice because it's right underneath us, isn't it?
Yep, he'll be howling like a wild dog. Anyway, yeah, so please do tune in to Matteo and Jessica on Sunday at 6:30 for 2 hours of Latin and salsa. And then they're in again on Tuesday, aren't they, for some stretching.
That's a good class.
It's a great class. You should do the stretching class.
I should do it.
We should do the stretching class.
Do
I mean, don't be put off by the fact that Jessica can get her legs into each corner of the room simultaneously.
She can almost attach them.
Yeah, and then Wednesday, of course, you're back with me 7 o'clock for another bit of solo ballroom and Latin. We're going to do a bit of jive and a bit of ballroom next week. Thursday, Latin fusion for Matteo and Jessica again at 6:30. Friday, us at 7.
That's it.
That's
the week.
That's the week done, and then it'll be another week. We'll be into February. Yeah. That's how I'm going for my dinner. Thanks for tuning in, everyone. Thanks for stopping by.
Take care.
Take care. See you soon.